All right, Matt. We're on to rep number 4. I'm going to read it, and then we'll let you go ahead and go through that rep.
Okay.
So rep number 4. Describe the best 15 minutes of your week. I say someone, I guess to me. So describe your best 15 minutes of your week to me and Adrian.
Okay.
What behaviors did you notice? What skills are associated with these behaviors?
All right. I would start by saying the best 15 minutes I had this week was recently I've purchased and implemented a new software system for work, and I was able to utilize that new software system to successfully turn a prospect into a customer.
Oh, wow.
And so it was really exciting because it's been several weeks of building it and putting it together in terms of the the actual software system itself. So being able to get to a point where I could not only utilize it, but utilize it successfully and get great feedback from the customer and their experience. So
that's good.
Man. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what skills?
Well, I guess behaviors for me. I guess when I started to think about
I'm sorry. Yeah.
I could do skills.
No, I messed.
No, it's
out.
okay. I was thinking in terms of behaviors where I was thinking of evolution. Like, in other words, the reason why this all came to be was to evolve in business and to be able to try to improve and do those types of things. Also, both self and situational awareness, because looking at where we currently were at and wanting to be able to evolve and be able to do those types of things and make those changes. And then skill-wise, I think some of the skills were just self-discipline, because there was a lot of preparation that went into being able to get to that point and be able to see it through as far as that goes. And then in terms of, I guess those are the biggest things I thought of, were just, evolution, self-awareness, situational awareness too, of kind of where we were at, but then the self-discipline to be able to see it through and to be able to work it through to make it turn into something successful. So.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I was trying to think that I hear anything, but that was good.
Especially that you were able to get a customer out of just being self-aware, just the fruit of being self-aware, the skills that you have developed so far and the behaviors that you've developed has put you in a position where you can grow your business.
Yeah, it's a blessing, for sure.
You want to do your 15 or you want to go to? Go ahead.
So I would say the best 15 minutes I had this week, I would say, was probably when I went to the library with my children. In the previous weeks, there's a friend who was having some struggles in her classes. And so I invited her to come to the library with me so that she could catch up on some work and that I could get the kids out more, because we've kind of been at homeschool, and so we've kind of been in for the winter months, and so it's time for us to stop hibernating. And so I would say that the behaviors that I displayed was intentionality. I would say that I was being resourceful as far as my time, that I'm able to be with her some and help her out. So I'm also being, what is the word, considerate or thoughtful. That's a behavior, to be thoughtful for her. And then what else? I think those were the main ones. And time management, because this allows me to spend some time with her as well as spend time with the children and let them have some activity time at the library.
So yeah, Adrian, I think all that was good stuff. Very intentional, really good how you made time for both the kid and your friend. And I feel like I want to be like you when I grow up. I just think that was good. I don't have the right word for it, but maybe one day I'll find it, or somebody will bless me by putting it in the comment section. So we're on to rep number 5, and Adrian, I'll read this one to you, and then I'll have you go through this one. So rep number 5, again, we are focusing on building the skill of recognizing skills. So it is a skill to recognize skills. So rep number 5, we have describe the worst 15 minutes of your week to someone being me. What behaviors did you notice? What skills are associated with these behaviors? So worst 15 minutes, go.
I would say the worst 15 minutes of my past week was, and this happened twice this past week, is I overscheduled. And I would say the behavior that I had was procrastination. So I will have things that I need to put on my calendar, and I will wait to put it on the calendar and forget to put it on the calendar. And this is how I end up with this scenario of being overscheduled.
Yep.
So I was supposed to go see a friend who had just recently had a baby. And I also I'm kind of like getting into the crypto trading space right now.
Mm-hmm.
But that meeting was done. So it was Thursday that I was supposed to go see the friend.
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday, we scheduled the meeting impromptu to try to get our platforms set up for the trading stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that was an impromptu meeting, but had I scheduled the friend on the calendar and looked at it, then I would have been able to tell them I'm not able to do it.
Yep.
And that meeting ended up getting canceled anyway because I think it was because it was so impromptu.
Yep.
And so it just left me feeling rushed on that Thursday of like, okay, I have to do this thing in the morning. I have to go to this meeting. And even though I told this friend I was going to see her in the afternoon, we had to push that back to like a few hours later.
Yep.
And it just felt like my day would felt a lot more rushed than it had to feel had I just been more intentional about planning the day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the behavior is procrastination. But the fact that I decided to go see this friend and I did not plan that, I think that was flexible.
Mm-hmm.
I was being flexible because that wasn't a part of the plan for the week, but it just kind of happened. And
But flesh out the friend a little bit, like going to see that, like what other behaviors, because procrastination and flexibility, there's more, even in going to see the friend, what other behaviors are there?
what other behaviors are there?
So one could be thoughtfulness.
Thoughtful.
Like you just thought of your friend who just had a baby and you
Yeah.
thought to go see them and see how they're doing. Compassion. There's just a couple of them, but I guess even in the act of going to see your friend and all the, you know how many people could care less about other people?
Okay.
Like the act of going and doing that shows a ton of positive behaviors as well. As a matter of fact, your feeling rushed is a byproduct of many positive behaviors and many negative behaviors fighting against, not many, but a negative behavior fighting against each other.
Yes.
The fact that you are looking to improve yourself, getting in the crypto space. The fact that you care about your friend enough to go see him. The fact that you care about all these important things.
Yeah.
All that's good.
Yeah.
And so that behavior would be like self-development and improvement, thinking about other people first. All those are good, but those have to have some type of restraint or harness on them.
Yes.
And that's where the procrastination got you this week. But even in your worst 15 minutes, I know we talked about the worst, but I wanted to flesh it out because there's still even some good in
those
that,
worst 15
in those worst 15 minutes.
Thank you for bringing that out.
Yeah.
I feel that's terrible now. I was like,
Find
I'm
the good and
sorry,
magnify
I'm
it.
so late, but yeah. So I would say those are some good implications. I would also say that she has children, and so they have been, because they're, they have a newborn, they're not really getting out, and so that our kids were able to play together.
Oh, good stuff.
And so there was also another opportunity to get out. But so even in the worst, it was still some good, but it was worse for me because I see some behaviors that could have prevented a day from feeling so stressful.
Mm-hmm.
And skills, I guess a skill that I would need to work on is just, again, instead of procrastinating, just
Matt calls it act now.
act now.
Act now.
That's the skill. Act right now.
Yep. So when it comes up, and the perfect example he gave me with this is when you say you're gonna pray for somebody, just do it right then and
Yeah.
there. If you do it right then and if you act now, you'll never forget to pray for that person. And so when something comes up, the skill that you gotta build is act now.
Okay, that sounds good. I need to write that down. Act now in all caps.
Anything you want to add, or you want to go, Matt? Or
No, I basically got the same things out of it. I was thinking of I heard discipline in there, self-awareness that I heard tied to it. Those are just some of the big takeaways for me. So no, I didn't really have anything different. So.
Okay.
I got you. Well, good stuff. We'll go ahead and wrap up with rep number 6, and I'll read to Matt. I guess both of y'all could take a look at this one, but I'm gonna read at least to Matt. And we'll go from there. So previously, what we did was we reflected on our week. So whenever you want to build discipline, whenever you want to get better at discipline, easy thing you can do: reflect and anticipate. Reflect on what I did, anticipate on what's coming up. All discipline is behaviors. And I know we're talking about skills, but this is important because building the skill of recognizing skill takes some level of discipline. And so if you can recognize what skills I need to be great at before that moment comes, that gives you a greater opportunity to win at that moment. So with that being said, we're at rep number 6. Matt, I want you to anticipate the most important 15 minutes of your upcoming week. What behaviors will you need to do well in order to make those 15 minutes count? What skills correspond to these behaviors?
Yes, sir. Well, I was mentioning about that software earlier in the previous rep. Well, that same software system this week, I'm responsible for actually rolling it out and training it to our teammates within our company. So that's a big. It's very important, and it's a big deal, obviously, in terms of being able to teach and train them and everything else. And so, from a behavior standpoint, for me, I know since change has a stigma tied to it,
Great point.
At all times, that stigma being good or bad or even neutral, I guess, really for some people, is that one of the behaviors that I need to take is a positive mental attitude, and I also need to begin with the end in mind with my behaviors, meaning not just I can get caught up in the didactic portion of just wanting to teach and implement it, but also I need to do a great job of explaining to people how this can improve and make things better or even easier for them, to give them the perspective that's beyond that. So from a behavior standpoint, having a good attitude that's tied to it. Also preparation, being well prepared so that I can do that. I can make the most of people's time, because anytime you are training people and taking away from their daily disciplines or from them being able to income producing types of activities, you really want to be able to make it worth their while. And so, some of the skill for me is just my self-discipline in order to create an agenda that's going to work. Also, a positive mental attitude, is a skill that I can take going into it. And then perspective is another skill, right? To keep perspective as well as give perspective, since I know that change has a stigma tied to it. Just being self-aware and, even down to what my nonverbals are going to be when I'm explaining this or rolling this out to people.
You still don't understand this after the 17th
Right,
time?
that's right, and just being able to build repetition inside of it, and having a plan and almost kind of a format for the way which we're going to do it, and also just getting feedback from people.
So really, all of those behaviors you could just literally, those are the skills as well. Like every behavior you named is basically the skill as well. Anything you want to add to that, Adrian?
No, I just think it's just, I see how self-awareness is a major component of recognizing behaviors. Like when you're trying to identify what needs to be done or what will be done, self-awareness has to be like one of the things that's at the top of the list as you're reflecting, as you're thinking towards the future. Because in previous reps, we reflected on the past, the best 15 minutes, the worst 15 minutes. That takes time for me to self-reflect. That's a behavior.
That's good.
And a skill at the same time. And so, and even now thinking about what's coming up, I'm having to think about what's happened in the past in other scenarios, because I'm sure you have, like you said, you have had to have experience to know that when change comes in, people tend to fall on different sides of the pendulum.
That's a great point.
Fence,
yeah.
That's right.
And so you have had to have known from some experience before that this is something that you can anticipate, and to prepare, like you said, preparation for that is just the wise move.
Yeah. I had teaching,
Thank you.
Just the ability to teach as a behavior. Communicating, because you're going to have to do a ton of verbal and nonverbal communicating during this entire event. And I also put navigating negativity. Like that's just something you're going, because it's going to come.
Yeah, that's good.
Because people are going to be frustrated and angry and irritated. How do I have the skill of navigating negativity? Like I know you said my positive mental attitude is probably how you'll do it, but I'm just thinking part of the reason why you have to have a positive mental attitude is because negativity can flare up in that space.
That's good.
That's very good. Thank you.
In
I
perspective.
just even like how you phrase it, navigating negativity, because that's I think a very good, very important part of the communication part, because how you say something, even words trigger.
Yep.
And that's why people who oftentimes will present something as an opportunity as opposed to another thing that you have to do. Like, this is a great chance for us to
It's good.
do, this. or move this.
That's a great point. You want to do your best 15? Or are you okay? I mean, I anticipate your most important 15 minutes, or
Okay.
you okay? All right, Agent. So since you are good, I guess we'll close out. Any final thoughts or comments you all want to add?
I'll start by saying I really enjoyed this, especially piggybacking on what Adrian said. One of the first things I realized when I go through this is really just the skill and the discipline to reflect and be able to think things through, both reflecting back on things that have happened and looking at these hypothetical scenarios and putting myself into it, but also being able to prepare and anticipate about what I do have coming forward, and really look, not just anticipating, but thinking. And the difference for me, just through this practice alone, is really thinking through the lens of skills, looking at these things and saying, hey, what skills do I have already? What are skills that I can improve on? Or maybe what are some skill gaps that I have that are out there? And so when I walk through this, I'm really thankful for this time and this practice, because it's valuable and it's important. And already I can see things and have made notes out that have really helped me to look at these scenarios, but also going forward, how to better anticipate.
Praise God.
Yeah, I would agree. And I would say, because we're sitting here right now putting pen to paper, but I can see that, if we have, I'm sure we'll have viewers out here who are putting pen to paper, and it's like, man, this is it can be intimidating when you're starting to identify your behaviors, both positive and negative. And so I think that this is good to put pen to paper to, because now I can see it. It's not something that's just floating around my mind.
Yes.
It's just me having to address what is real, not what I think.
Sure. It's less abstract and it's more concrete.
Yes.
I agree. That's what I wrote these things down and plan to take those forward, and just start by picking one of them and saying, hey, can I take one of these, just start with one of these? Because you're right, it is a bit intimidating because I have a long list of things that are opportunities. But I think for me, just to look at just drawing a tight circle, maybe even just around one, and saying, hey, here's one thing that I know that I can, not only it's tied to anticipating what's coming up this week, but just realizing it's something I can. And for me, it's also hope, because I can get better, right? I mean, I had the realization that it's okay where I'm at, but I'm kind of excited too. It's intimidating, but there's also some excitement to say, hey, I can get better, and I'm willing to do the work now, and this has helped me to prepare for that.
Yeah.
And I love the idea of hope. It can be overwhelming, especially if you have been living in those 7 negative thoughts for the last who knows how many years. You immediately go to, man, I mess up so much, man, I do so much wrong, or whatever it may be. But if you focus on those positive, hey, if I just focus on this one thing, just get one thing better. It's almost like if you think your life is a train wreck, it's probably not. But even if you think it is a train wreck, if you focus on one thing and get better at that one thing, you're still getting better.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just really encouraging. And I would even say to not be overwhelmed. I would encourage you to not be overwhelmed by all the skills you have to get better at. I mean, think about all the things we have to do to be successful humans. We got to eat right. We got to spend time with God. We got to brush our teeth. We got to iron our clothes. We got to work out. We got to go to work. We got to love our children, love our spouse. We got to, the list goes on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
And you'll just get overwhelmed. What's the skill this week? What's the skill today? How can I get better today? And go from there. And always, everything we do, Lord, you help me in this journey. I know it's a practice cast and we're building a skill.
Yeah.
Everything we do, Lord, help me get better. This next rep, help me, help me, help me, help me, help me.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing it by myself. I'm doing it with the Lord. And as we partner with God in improving our lives, we connect to the source of life itself. And so we can expect to see life when we partner with life.
Yeah. And I would say too, just as I addressed earlier, just that self-awareness, you will find that it's becoming more natural for you to have that self-awareness. And I think to do something with that, like this, like, okay, I've become self-aware that these are my skills, good and not so good, list them. It becomes easier, I think, to see like, okay, I've noticed these patterns and it's just, and I can address them. This is not something that's not attainable. And I do think of some lyrics to a song actually that I heard in prayer once or one time this past couple weeks. And it was actually a song someone had sung to me. Maybe a few months prior, but it didn't really, I didn't gain meaning from it until I heard it in prayer. And the lyrics I just got, I look to you, I will not be overwhelmed. Give me vision to see just like you do. And so I'm just thinking, like when we're doing this, even though there is opportunity to be overwhelmed, there is opportunity to go into places of victory and see things the way that God sees them.
Amen.
And so this is encouraging. This is very encouraging.
Praise God. Praise God. Well, on that note, I'm glad that this is encouraging. So thank you, everyone who made it out to this practice session. Remember, if you want to connect with Growing True Disciples even further, be sure to check out either our YouTube channel or our Facebook page or connect with the website. There's plenty of skills on there where you can start building and improving right then and there. I want to say thank you all again. God bless you so much for watching and practicing with us. And always remember that submitting to Jesus is not just a one-time big decision, but a lifetime of intentional choices. We'll see you on the next episode.